back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. We're talking cash tags, so let's bring in our next guest for that segment, and that's going to be Landon Swan, co-founder at Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're talking big winner in mega tech today, and that's Nvidia. We haven't talked with you guys in a while about this one. It's all AI-based, up over 200% so far this year. Getting stretched, but at the same time, after their last earnings report, when they hiked up guidance by 50%, basically, it's hard to bet against this one. What kind of data do you guys have at a Likefolio on this?
I know, right? When's the last time you saw a company that big hike estimates or guidance that much? I mean, that's like a penny stock or a small cap move, right? I mean, that was unbelievable that the street had it that far off and they had to correct upwards that much. It's really incredible story. This is a company that Likefolio has been bullish on for a very long time. The chart just seems to just keep going up and up and up on all of our data, as well as the stock, of course, hitting all-time highs today of just a hair under 450. And the story of Nvidia is incredible because this is, the GeForce graphics card that if you ask people what does Nvidia do, 5-10 years ago, it was gaming cards, right? That's all they did. And as games got more and more advanced, the way that they worked was they worked through polygons, right? So if you think about my face as a 3D object, but on your screen it's 2D, and there's like polygon here and a polygon there. There's all these polygons that make up my face, and as I turn it, all those have to interact. The lengths of each shape interacts with each other, and there's a lot of calculations that go into that, and that's how gaming advanced through their cards. And then some smart people said, well, you know what, if they can make all these really fast calculations on these matrices of shapes, then they can do it on matrices of other things that have nothing to do with display. And so they started using them for other things. They got into cryptocurrency mining because of all the calculations they can do there. They got into artificial intelligence, self-driving cars. And so now it's way beyond gaming, even though they're riding that wave. So, everything that they do, they're in gaming, they're in crypto, they're in artificial intelligence, and it seems like they've got a tailwind in every single sector that their cards are used in. So I love this company. Now, when we look at the data, though, the purchase intent data, if you look at that, it has been up and up, like I said, for years. But just recently, we've got a little bit of a tail off. Like it's starting to lose just a little bit of momentum as the stock hits all-time highs. On a 90-day moving average, which is what you're looking at here, quarter over quarter is only down about 4%. Year over year is still up 42%. So very strong numbers. If you change to 30-day, though, the quarter over quarter goes from -4 to -17, and the year over year drops as well. So actually, the further you zoom in onto this recent change of purchase intent or consumer demand, it's actually getting a little bit worse. It's starting to show some signs of stalling. Now, that's in the wake, again, of AI mentions are up 550% on a year-over-year basis. Gaming mentions are up. Cryptocurrency mining is a little bit flat, but growing slightly as Bitcoin starts to rally. But overall, I think we're seeing just a little bit of a pause in the enthusiasm behind this company. And it's, if you think about where it's come from, in October, the stock was at $108, and now we're touching almost 450. So it's been an incredible run. And I'm not going to say we're bearish by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe a 10% pullback, something like that, maybe 15, as the stock gets a little bit too stretched and consumer demand begins to just stall just a little bit. If that happens, I think it's a great buying opportunity because everything, like I said, we've got every tailwind that this company is involved in or every consumer trend that this company is involved in is a tailwind. It's pushing the company forward. So definitely bullish long term. But as you said, the stock is getting a little stretched. And since consumer demand is not making all-time highs, that gives me just a little bit of pause at these levels.
Landon, I read a great article, very in-depth, about Nvidia this morning, and it talked about the revenues are growing tenfold. The margins are approaching 40%. He went through a litany of all these positive things, and he said, if you add them all together and put them up, it comes to a value per share of $240. With all that good news. So and when you look at this, how about this? It trades 41 times sales, not earnings. It trades 41 times sales. It trades 21 times 2025 sales. He said the normal semiconductor stock, the average is 5 times sales.
Yeah.
It trades 41 times sales. So I understand momentum, I understand strength, but the very second you see some weakness creep in and your data is showing a little bit of weakness creeping in, remember, this has a 50-day moving average of 371 and a 200-day moving average of 236, Landon.
That's incredible. Absolutely.
Yes,
so when you've got a growth stock that is trading at those kind of multiples, I think the viewers know, but I'll repeat it. It works both ways. The multiple goes both ways. And if you see any contraction at all in revenue or sales, profit margins, any of the numbers that they're touting, then the multiplier goes the other way, and then all of a sudden it can drop just as fast. But I'm going to say I love this company long term. I don't know if I'm a buyer at 450. I'm definitely a buyer at probably 400, 350, somewhere in there. I'm slamming the table. But I think the trends will continue, but right now everything we're seeing is just sort of topping off just a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking for a pullback. I'm not shorting it by any means, but I am looking for a pullback to get more shares in the 350 range.
Landon, I look at like last fall when this stock was falling precipitously, your data is starting to ramp up, missed opportunities probably by a lot of investors at that point. But one of the questions I have for you is on this data, is this all for the GeForce chips and the consumer type of mentions that you're seeing? Because what I'm seeing from Nvidia is the partnerships that they've created and the demand from the corporate side. And where every industry is going to be using AI, so they want to be or have or need some portion of Nvidia where maybe it skews that data a little bit because maybe you're not seeing as much of the corporate side as maybe the consumer side?
No, that's actually a very, very good point. So if you think about Likefolio data, we know what the consumer is thinking, what they're buying, which products they love, which ones they don't love. And when it comes to businesses, it's just not nearly as strong. One business guy who signs a deal and buys 100,000 chips, he might talk about it on social media, but that counts as one. It's the same as the gamer who upgrades his computer so he can play the latest game. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Our data does not reflect the business as well, which is why I think it's really important to look at the trends in artificial intelligence, like we talked about, plus 560% over the last year. So it is definitely a force that's pushing this stock. They're getting weaker with the consumer. That I'm fairly confident of. When I say weaker, I mean they're stalling out. They're not falling. But as when it comes to B2B, we don't have the greatest insights into that. So I would lean on the trends. And the trends are very, very favorable for NVIDIA.
Yeah,
great point.
Yeah, you can't argue with that chart at this point. But yeah, great data as always, Landon. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan breaking down the data for us on NVIDIA. I mean, all pretty positive. I mean, they were ahead of the game as far as their data goes over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to see a little bit of flattening out, Kevin. But how do you want to look at this one? Because